To be complacent means to be satisfied with the way things are. Are you satisfied with the way things are here in the Bahamas? Are you complacent? Here are some dangers of being complacent. 1. You get relaxed and you lose that energy to do what needs to be done. 2. You stop growing and you don't fulfill what God has called you to do. 3. You become unaware of potential dangers that might be around the corner. Let's see what God has to say about complacency. Zephaniah 1:12. At that time I will search Jerusalem with lamps, and I will punish the men who are complacent. Those who say in their hearts, the Lord will not do good, nor will he do ill. Amos 6:1. Woe to those who are at ease in Zion, and to those who feel secure on the mountains of Samaria. And what about the parable of the rich fool? In Luke 12, verse 19. And I will say to my soul, soul, you have ample goods laid up for many years. Relax, eat, drink, and be merry. But God said to him, fool, this night your soul is required of you, and the things you have prepared, whose will they be? So it is for the one who lays up treasure for himself and is not rich towards God. Here's some questions to ask yourself. Am I being complacent? 1. Jesus said to go and make disciples of all nations. Are you making disciples? 2. Are you being generous with your money? 3. Are you growing in the knowledge of the Lord? 4. When was the last time you witnessed to somebody? 5. Do you have a regular prayer life? If you answered no to any of these questions, chances are you are complacent. Don't be satisfied with where you're at. Keep pushing, keep going, keep striving for more and more. Complacency is a big issue here in the Bahamas. It affects all aspects of society. It affects the reason why we see web shops popping up everywhere. It's why people think they can do whatever they want and get away with it here. Because we're complacent. We allow things to go on and evil to reign. For evil to prevail, all it takes is for good men to do nothing. Evil's gonna keep pushing, keep prevailing if good men do nothing. If Christians don't stand up and say something, if Christians don't stand up and preach the gospel, and take captive every thought and every argument that sets itself up against the knowledge of Christ, then we're just going to get rolled over. If believers don't stand up, if believers don't stand for righteousness, people are going to do whatever they want. If believers are not making disciples, nobody will. In order to make a disciple, you have to be a disciple. And so nobody is going to do it if you don't do it. Who's going to share the gospel? Who's going to teach the next generation if all of us are comfortable and relaxed? Who's going to mentor the young men and young ladies who need to be mentored? If we don't do it as Christians, disciples won't be made. Don't wait until it's a big crisis. Don't wait until it's a big referendum or something before you take action, before you stand for righteousness, before you start making disciples. The reason we have to have referendums on issues like gambling is because we're not making disciples. Gambling is an issue for the immature. It's not a real question for solid believers. That shows that we haven't been making disciples. We haven't been teaching the Word of God the way that it needs to be taught. And why is that? We're too comfortable. We're not putting in the work where we could be useful. We're relaxed. We don't think that it's urgent, that there's an urgent need for us to get involved, to be a part of ministry, and to be used where God has gifted us. So instead of being complacent and being satisfied with where you're at, have an attitude of urgency. Have an attitude that your time is short. You're not guaranteed tomorrow. If you don't fulfill your ministry, who will? So let's change this about the Bahamas. Let's change the fact that we're complacent. Let's take initiative and put our hands to the plow and fulfill the ministries God's given us. So what are you going to do to make a difference?